Welcome to Mishna study. Up to Masechet Peah Perek Zayin Mishna Dalet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to move on to what's called Olelot. Right? Olelot, it comes up in the Pesukim in Torah. V'charmecha lo te'olel uferet karmecha lo telaket. Right? So charmecha lo te'olel. What's charmecha lo te'olel? Literally, you can't pick off those little individual grapes. So it's not something that you necessarily forgot. It's something that's more of this is a grape that's left for the aniyim. So what are those types of grapes? That's what we're going to discuss in this Mishnah. Ezohi olelot kol she'ena lo katef v'lo natef im safek shel aniyim olelet shebarkuba im nikretzet im ha'eshkol harei shel ba'al habayit im lav harei shel aniyim. Gargar Yahidi, Rabbi Yehuda Omer Eshkol, Chachamim Omrim Olelet. So what is considered an Olelet, right? Based on the Pasuk, what is exactly halachically this Olelet? So the Mishnah says, as long as it doesn't have either a katef or a natef. What's a katef? Katef is basically literally in modern Hebrew, it's a shoulder, right? So it doesn't have the grape doesn't have a shoulder. It's not a cluster, right? A lot of times you'll see the grapes when they're picked, a cluster of grapes, they spread wide, right? And then they dip down. That's the katef. That's the shoulder of the grapes of the cluster. So if it doesn't have that, and it also doesn't have a natef. Natef is with the drip, like literally when it hangs down. Rambam says like a hadas. Right, it's like a type of hadas that actually comes, down. Also, like more of those, those fancier grape, clusters, which, it's just maybe 2 or 3 grapes on top of each other, but it's like a vine that goes all the way down. It drips down. So over here, there's no cluster. There's no, breadth to it. There's no shoulder, and there's no length to it. It's not a cluster that goes wide or long. So if it doesn't have either of those, then that belongs to the aniyim. If you have a few grapes that are a little clustered together, that doesn't have a katef and it doesn't have a natef, that belongs to the aniyim. Let's say it's safek. Safek goes to the aniyim. Now you have olelet, next case in the Mishnah. Olelet shiba arkuba. Arkuba is literally a bend, a joint. So let's say you have a cup, an olelet, these few grapes that are bunched together, and it's by an arkuba. Arkuba is literally a joint, and it really depends where this joint is. So let's say this joint is, part of the vine. It's on the vine itself, and that would go to the aniyim. But let's say im nikretzet im ha'eshkol. Let's say it's cut, right? Rambam says the word cut is keretz. Keretz mitzafon ba, right? That's pasuk from Yirmiyahu. And literally the nations that come, cut them off from the north. So it's if it's going to be cut with the eshkol, if it's going to be cut with the actual cluster. So imagine you have a cluster of grapes, and then you have this joint at the bottom, and then you have a few olelot at the end. So if you're going to cut the cluster of grapes from the top, and then that joint, which is literally attached to the bottom of that cluster of grapes, is going to be cut with the grapes, then that belongs to the ba'al habayit. Let's say it's not part of that cluster, that joint, that little bend is not part of that cluster, it's part of the actual vine itself, then that belongs to aniyim. Next case, Gargar Yahidi, single grape. You have a single grape that grows in a vine. Rabbi Yehuda says it's an eshkol, but it's one on its own. That's it. He says it's a cluster. And Chachamim say no, it's an olelet. That's one single grape that also belongs to aniyim. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda.